Hello, everybody. This is Alessandro from Innovate with Impact, hashtag Small Relief. I'm super excited today to have Sonja with me. Hi, Sonja.
Hi.
Sonja and I met almost exactly to the day 1 year ago at the Innovators Conference in Paris. And we were just talking that Paris is definitely, much nicer than being at home for almost a month. But we're doing what we need to, of course, and we're here to help and raise awareness. And I'm very excited to talk to you, Sonja, today. And I was, before this interview, I was thinking back about your amazing presentation at the Innovators, and I would really like to talk about this a little bit today. But before we get into that, please introduce yourself quickly.
That's becoming a more and more challenging question to me. Who am I? I think that the closest answer I have come up recently is just work in progress, right? I have spent 20 years in corporate world doing various innovation, strategy, product roles. Left 4 years ago to set up my own consultancy. Left that last year to set up this collective, which I can talk a little bit about, which is really focused on human transformation, because I think, all of us who have been working in system change space for many, many years have forgotten about the human component of this change. And I think we are waking up to that. And I think what's happening around us today, especially, is showing us how important that human aspect of change is, and that we need to bring everyone on this journey with us if we want to see the change in the world that we are all hoping for. So yeah, that's me. I do a lot of leadership coaching and development. I still do a bit of innovation strategy, but mostly these days I'm focused on building this collective and hoping that through supporting people's human personal transformation, we can affect change in our organizations, our communities, and the society at large.
Mm-hmm. That's great. I mean, I can only say from what I heard from your presentation, the world definitely needs your energy, and now more than ever. So the message that you're sending out is really powerful and really important.
Thank you.
Let's talk maybe a little bit about, a little bit more deeply about your business and how has it been affected in this last month? Obviously, you're spending, like all of us, a lot of time at home, and you're in the UK. And so how's it been affecting you? What's been going on? What have you been up to? How have you been staying sane through all of this? What have you been telling your clients?
Those are all big questions. So this is day 29 for me of being in isolation, trying to do work, trying to mother and homeschool my son, and as you say, is trying to give myself a lot of time to reflect on what this is bringing up for me, right? Because as I said, I think we are all work in progress, and no matter how much work we have done, this crisis is bringing up a lot of things that we still need to heal. And so I am in a constant inner dialogue. There are days when I don't do much. I cook. I have rediscovered passion for cooking, and I cook a storm every day. And my son is awarding me stars depending on the quality of my cooking. And there is a lot of dancing and goofing around and just bonding, which is phenomenal. I think I couldn't have chosen a better partner to be confined. I think the energy of 14-year-old is contagious. He's happy by default no matter what happens, so it's remarkable to be around him. And then there are days like yesterday when I achieved so much that I'm amazed. I have signed up myself for a couple of courses on system change, which I'm really enjoying, but I'm pacing myself. Again, I signed up for a 30-day challenge, but I don't do it every day. I really listen to what my body needs. I do some work with my clients. I have managed to transition very little of my work online, I have to say, because a lot of what I do is face-to-face. So, I speak at conferences, I run public workshops, I teach workshops at my clients. None of that has been possible. So I have lost a lot of income, as many people around us. So, that's also an adjustment. And, being vulnerable enough to talk about it and admit that this is reality of what we're dealing with. I called my landlord a few weeks ago and I said, okay, can we come up with a deal for the next 3 months while we're all going through this? It wasn't an easy conversation for me, but he was so lovely that, he didn't blink. He said, of course, we are all in this together. And so having vulnerability to have those conversations with whoever, whether it's your landlord or your mortgage provider or your, kid's school, and to be real with each other. And I feel that people are responding in amazing ways. You know, we are really coming together as a community. You hear of all these initiatives where people are self-organizing, not really relying on the government anymore. And I think that's beautiful. I think we are rediscovering how powerful we are without the system taking care of us, that we can do that and that we can self-organize in so many ways. In terms of my new business, my new initiative, it's still in infancy, in early stages. We started probably 6-7 months ago in earnest. It's a small group of entrepreneurs, healers, artists who have come together, all based on their personal transformative experiences, wanting to give back, wanting to help others. I got so many questions after, Paris. That was the first time I shared my personal transformative story. And a lot of questions were around, how do I start? Where do I go? Who do I ask for help? How do I ask for help? And we realized there was a need out there for people who, were struggling to do this alone, who are realizing something was wrong in their lives or in their work situations and wanted to do things in a different way, wanted to show up in a different way, but that there wasn't a trusted resource out there who was looking at the problem holistically. You have a lot of healers, a lot of therapists, a lot of coaches who are selling a methodology, a process, a tool. But I think we as humans are much more complex than a process or a tool. And we need, someone to take us on this journey holistically and to help us rediscover our own strength, to find that inner voice that is going to guide us, that intuition that we, have disconnected at some point. And so this is, our whole project is not about selling yet another methodology or yet another process. It's really guiding you through the experiences that can help you reconnect and find what works for you. And so obviously that's been impacted because a lot of our work has been also building community face-to-face, organizing events, organizing healing moments, storytelling, testing different methodologies, and building that community mostly in London because I wanted to, apply all my innovation experience to start small and build an MVP first. And now we're in a process of rethinking, how do we do some of this online? How do we keep the community going? What can we offer to people? But also very much aware that there is so much all of a sudden, right? Online, and that people feel overwhelmed a little bit as well. Yeah. And so we are just in this stage of, started our second sprint a few days ago of rethinking and doing some new work and using this time also to reflect on how do we want to take this forward? What have we learned? What are some of the lessons that we can learn from this situation right now? So we are not in a rush. There is no panic. We are really taking this pause as a business as well, because I think for a lot of us, this is not a problem to fix. This is an experience to be lived. And, we really need to learn from this together on our own as a community. And in many ways, I think this is preparation for what's going to come after this, right? And so I want to make sure that we are ready for that instead of, inundating people with so much at the moment that they feel overwhelmed and cannot cope.
Absolutely. So you just brought out so many important messages and so many important points. What I really would like to put also emphasis on is what you were saying about the human element, and about asking for help and about being there for each other and about not just trying to, push somebody into a process, but really being there for one another. I think this is really the time to help each other out and make sure that, we're all fine because we're all sitting in the same boat. And, this is the tough part for small businesses, right? And for startups and or anybody at this point right now, because first of all, very often we are maybe not used to asking for help. And second of all, sometimes if what I have heard so far in the interviews that I have conducted, especially from small businesses, it doesn't feel for some of them natural to go either ask for help or either say, maybe I can help you. And that's actually something that is really powerful as well, because you can actually, as a small business, can be of help to a large business, and you can really make a difference there as well. So sometimes this David and Goliath, kind of relationship between large businesses and small businesses right now actually switches around, because the large businesses need help innovating and need somebody who's there for them. And so this is why I think this is really great what you're doing also to, bring that message out.
I know it's a really tough one to accept, and I don't think I will have been able to do it, 4 or 5 years ago. I think I will have panicked much more, but I had a 5-minute panic of, I think a lot of us, and I've spoken to quite a few of my friends who are in the same business, literally in 48 hours, I think everything got canceled, right? All our speaking engagements, all the workshops, client after client just kept dropping, the deals. It was really remarkable, kind of shock to the system, right? And you also see by our reactions how far on this journey we are in terms of, developing our inner resources, right? If you're still relying on someone, the system, to take care of us, if our security comes from how much money we have in our bank account, how many clients we have, then we are in an absolute state of panic. We are trying immediately to transition everything online. And if we are further on this journey and know that that sense of security is really to do just with how we feel about ourselves and those inner resources and strengths that we have developed, then we are not panicking at all. We are able to have these conversations, as I said, and, help each other. There's so many people I'm still helping. I've been joining a lot of, music events and donating to artists who I know in a much worse position than myself, and reaching out to my neighbors, reaching out to friends who need help, who, I'm a single parent, people are reaching out to me. I think that there is a really beautiful sense of community that's emerging. And as I said, all of us kind of more self-organizing. And I think as businesses, it's really important to more than ever now think of our customers, of our clients. Who are we doing this for? Because if you're just thinking about ourselves and our, business survival and just pushing all of this on people, then I think we are going to alienate them in a long term. Versus if you are able to be vulnerable and have a conversation with our customers and think about and ask questions, what is it that you need? How can I help you? You may not be able to pay me now. You may pay me in a couple months or never. But let's help each other. I think we create that flow of abundance and things come back one way or the other. I think my life over the last couple of years is proof that happens. So let's not focus on money right now. Let's not focus on, just our, selfish in some cases, business survival instincts. Let's think about the whole. Let's think about the community. Let's think about everything that's broken, because I think this virus has showed us how broken our societies are. Structurally, there is so much that doesn't work. Our most vulnerable are exposed right now. And, people who were not considered as essential to survival of this society and now in the first, response teams, right? And I don't mean just, doctors and nurses. I mean, people who are producing our food, people who are cleaning our streets, people who are not considered as important to the society by many, right? So we need to really reestablish who we are. How do we want to show up in the world? What do we want to learn from all of this? I always say, to my coaching clients, ask yourself 3 questions. What can I learn from this situation? Where is my heart in all of this? Not just my mind. How do I feel, right? Before we go into, this is a plan, this is, the 10 things we can do, sit with those feelings. And it's amazing how many of us still are uncomfortable with the silence that's been created right now and would rather do anything else, right? Let's binge on Netflix, let's read, let's exercise, let's do anything but sit in silence. And silence is scary, right? It's uncomfortable, but for us who are innovators, this is the beauty of innovation. This is where creativity comes into play as well. This is where opportunities open up. I think this is remarkable time to be creative, to be silly, to reconnect with that child inside, to start to think outside of the box. This is when we cut through all the bullshit of conditioning and say, what? The worst has just happened. We are alive. It's amazing that we are alive, that we are not sick, that we are not impacted. What a privilege it is to be in our homes. Just look at what's happening in India or in countries where people cannot self-isolate, where they don't have that privilege. So we are in an amazing position. Let's not waste this time. Let's really use it for what is here to teach us. Let's not rush through this.
Absolutely. Putting things into perspective, I think, is extremely essential. Introspection is really essential.
Yes.
So finding
Yeah.
that moment of stillness, if you can. I know it's hard for some people, but obviously, reach out to anybody who watches this. If you're having a hard time with this, we're more than happy to help with that. Um,
Absolutely.
and
Anytime, please share my details. I'm here, happy to, organize even group Zoom calls. If people just want to sit in silence, there is a fabulous call that I do with one of my coaches on Sunday evening. I can send the details as well. And all we do is sit in silence for an hour. Katie reads few poems. She may play a piece of music, sometimes not. Sometimes we meditate for 5 minutes. But there is so much beauty in that silence that emerges from the group, so much power as well. It's really inspirational to see that we can connect beyond words. I think words are failing us, a lot of us. We don't have words for what's happening right now, for all the feelings that are coming up, for what's happening around us in the society, in our companies, in our organizations. And I think it's beautiful to connect beyond words as well. And I think art as well is becoming so important for so many people. And yet we don't pay those artists enough. We don't set enough money aside for artists to thrive. And they're now really helping us, right? We are all reaching, to a piece of music, to a performance. We watched a fabulous national theater performance the other day. It's amazing what we can access these days, right? Online as well. And we need to make sure that all of that has a place in a society that's important and valued, that we are all valued for what we have to bring, and not just, our productivity, which is so not important right now, I think.
Absolutely. I think this is definitely, in so many ways, even though it may not feel like it right now, but it's essentially a speedboat for society in many different ways, because it really forces us to look at life in different ways. And also challenge ourselves, and it's about creating new opportunities, and then there's no better time than now.
Yes, I don't think people are under illusion that we are going back to what we had before, and I think that's bringing up a lot of pain and suffering and grief for some people, who, me included. I think all of us, we're all grieving for something that we had to leave behind. And I think, again, as a society, we don't really help people access those feelings, right? We don't really talk about grief enough. And whether you have lost someone to coronavirus, or you're just suffering because your whole existence has been, removed from your reach, and you need to adapt on a daily basis, hourly basis sometimes. I think we all go through so many emotions every day. We need to learn how to deal with all the emotions. We have been conditioned to be either happy and successful and to just talk about it, or to hide everything else. And I think this is a moment where we can be real with each other, when we can cut through the bullshit, where we can be intimate, right? And share deeply and connect deeply. I think this is what we are craving. We are craving that connection, real connection, especially now that we're in isolation. You see all these, people singing on balconies in Italy. It was so moving, right? Because it was real, people reaching out. Our need to belong, to connect, to be part of something is bigger than any illness, any, structural change. And this is what we need to, this is our strength. This is what we need to play into. And so my advice to anyone is, stop chasing productivity right now. Take this pause, especially as leaders, create space for your employees, for your teams, to come to you and say, what, I'm having a really bad day. I'm going to skip the meetings. I'm just going to take a pause today. I'm going to reflect back, and I'm going to come back tomorrow and I'll do my work. Let's trust each other. Let's really trust each other right now. Everyone wants to do the best thing they can, but everyone needs this space as well, and time to grieve, to reflect, to reconnect with themselves and with each other. And I think it's more important than ever that we create that space and that safety for people to really be able to do that.
We all can be leaders at this point, right? So there's even if it's something very small, I think it's very beautiful what you mentioned earlier, reaching out to neighbors. We reached out to an elderly neighbor and asked her if she needed food, and she did. So we went shopping for her. So sometimes it's the very small gestures where you can really help somebody out, and then you can really be there for them. And it's about, if you get a lot of anxiety, I think it's one of the best things, and you brought it up a couple of times, I think it's really essential to get out of yourself and see, okay, what's going on around me and how can I help these other people that are maybe off worse than I am. And if you are really off super bad and there is nothing you can do, then you should reach out, because then there will be other people that can help you. So this is how we create this human connection and network where we can help each other.
And for a lot of people, asking is much harder than
Absolutely.
giving. I was one of those that, was constantly taking care of everyone, my kids, extended family, my employees, my teams, everyone in the community. And I had real trouble asking for help. And I think for all of us, and again, you started this by, asking how my business was doing. A flow has to be a balance of giving and receiving. And so for us to be able to receive, right, we need to work on that as well. That's a skill. That's where vulnerability comes into play. It's much easier to give because there is a position of power almost in that, right? I'm controlling the situation, whereas receiving is much more vulnerable. So asking for help is really revealing your true nature. It's really saying, I am struggling right now. I need help, whatever that help is. And it's important to have a friend, someone in a community, a coach, a healer, whoever, right? Many more people, if you have a good community, who can be that lifeline for you right now, because this is how we're gonna go back to remembering and really connecting to our shared humanity. This is what the goal is now. Not retracting to our silos, to our, little worlds in each of the countries, closing borders. This is, for me, a moment to reach out to everyone. I think this virus has showed us how connected we are around the world, and that could be our strength. Let's play to that.
Absolutely. Sonja, thank you so much for all these really powerful messages that you've brought out in this short interview. Maybe one last question, and to end on a fun note as well. So you are obviously living with your son. How is it? Like, how is it going there? What are you guys up to on a daily basis? Maybe you have some advice for parents.
We are going with the flow. Until this week, he was doing his schoolwork, so his school adjusted very easily to working remotely. So he had a more strict schedule, 9 to 3. Now we're on Easter break at home, so it's a free flow. We wake up when we wake up. We start with dance in the morning, so this is our kind of morning routine with a very loud song or two, and he's really good about taking a lead and bringing his positive energy. We go on a walk every day. We play board games. He plays PS4 a lot, and I use that time to then do some work. And there is a lot of cooking and, just fun stuff, playing cards, playing board games, watching silly movies, watching heartbreaking movies, whatever the mood is. We are kind of going with the flow, and he's super easy. I'm so impressed with his generation. And they give me so much hope. I think, they're already in a place I wish I was emotionally, spiritually. They're so connected. They're so pure. I think they're hope. I mean, I see my job as a parent to guide him, not to teach him, not to tell him what to do. I'm learning more from him than he is from me, that's for sure. And I'm so blessed and grateful to have him as one of my teachers in this life. So I think, just spend time with your kids, get to know them, the real them. He's telling me all this stuff that, he probably didn't want to tell me before, didn't have a time to tell me before, about his friends, about his crushes, things like that. So it's really cute. It's really good fun.
That's amazing. I'm very happy for you. And again, thank you so much for taking this time and for sending out all these powerful messages. I will definitely, obviously link to you on this post, and any initiative that you have, you can share with me. I'll be more than happy to reshare. And I very much do hope that in very soon or near future, we will actually get to see each other in person again soon.
Yeah, absolutely. Stay safe. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you.
Bye.
Have a great day. Bye.
You too. Bye.